Hello, lovely people. Welcome back to another book chat on a slightly grayer day. Yeah, so it has been ages since I've done a book chat. So, um, yeah, forgive me while I try to remember how I do these things. So, first off, how is everyone doing out there? Obviously, as the year kind of winds down to an end, it all gets very hectic for an awful lot of us, whether you're celebrating or not. There always seems to be something coming up towards the end of the year, whether it's goals we're trying to accomplish before we get there, or we're trying to figure out what we're doing with ourselves next year, or we're basically just going, oh, I made it through 2021. Come on, 2022, let's be an improvement. Yeah, there's that too. So, how are you doing out there? I really hope you're taking time to look after yourselves, do what you need to do in order to recharge and refuel, and yeah, just generally looking after yourselves as well as everybody else, which, particularly this time of year, I know for a lot of people it becomes very much um, about putting on the good face and doing the parties and doing the gatherings, and it becomes less and less about self-care, and it is a really, really important time to be concentrating on that side of things as well. So yeah, I hope you're giving yourselves the gift of looking after yourself a wee bit this December and always. Yeah, we need all the help we can get, basically, don't we? um, okay, so on to um, what I read. But first, and mostly because I've borrowed a tablet, so I can show this to you, and I don't think I'm going to remember how to unlock it if it goes off. So I'll show it to you before the screen goes off. Um, if you have been following my newsletter, you'll know that I've been putting together a collection of the short stories from my website. Not all of them, because it turns out I wrote a lot of short stories. A lot. Too many for one book. So a selection of short stories from both way back when I first started putting them up on the website, and also some of the newer ones. You may notice on the website that they're not updated there, but if you're on the newsletter, you do get a fresh, brand new short story. It's I was kind of thinking every quarter, but it's kind of when I think about it. So yeah, it's a bit erratic, but you do get extra stories in the newsletter, which is my plug for sign up to the newsletter if you haven't already. There we go. You've got that out of the way now, and you can do that at the bottom of the page on the blog, not on YouTube. Obviously, you'll have to nip over to the blog. Okay, that out of the way. So I have got a collection coming out, and my plan is it's going to come out on the 17th of this month, which is really, really soon. So just that 10 days. Yeah, I'm totally going to be organised for that. So it'll be out on the 17th. It isn't a Christmas collection, unlike last year's one. This is a collection of beautiful randomness and very weird things. It's chickens saving the universe, and it's demons of stubbed toes and slightly off, even though you only bought it yesterday, milk. It's very dangerous cruise ships. Not the cruise ship itself, but the company you keep. It's the dangers of not listening to your spouse. And oh yes, so many more things that I can't think of them. A plague of rubber ducks, a very, very hungry caterpillar, and so on. And there's also about 5 brand new short stories in there as well, and a few little notes on how I come up with these ideas, which honestly, yeah, I don't know, you can skip those. However, I have a completely beautiful cover for it, and I really, really hope you can see this okay, because look at that. Oh, the reflection's a bit bad, isn't it? Let me try tilting it. Oh, now you can see the garden hose. That's cool. But there we go. Oddly enough, Tales of the Unordinary. Volume 1, because there will be another volume, because like I say, they did not all fit, and I'm still writing short stories. And in fact, the newsletter just got a brand new short story last Sunday. But if you keep tuned to the blog, I'm going to put it on the blog next week. And that is a slightly dark Christmas tale. So that's coming up too. But if you'd like to get your hands on this, keep an eye on social media, keep an eye on the blog, and it will be coming out on the 17th. And I'll start sharing the links fairly soon with you, as soon as I'm absolutely sure that everything's done. Organisation is not great this month. Yeah, I say that like that's unusual, don't I? Anyway, right. I don't know if you see I keep glimpsing a little white butterfly Actually, I think it's one of those moths that eat the cabbages, but that's okay because our cabbages have turned into triffids. They're massive and terrifying, and everything smells of cabbage out here. So go for it, little moth. All right. So what have I been reading? Obviously, it's ages since I've done this. So I'm sure I've read more than this. So I'm just going to talk about the books that I really, really enjoyed. I've had a load of DNFs, a load of did not finishes over the past couple of months or so, just because my head hasn't been in the right place. Okay, some of them were the books, definitely certain, at least a couple of them were the books, but an awful lot of them I think were just, I wasn't really in the headspace for reading those particular stories at that time. Even Song of Achilles by Madeline Miller, absolutely loved Circe. It was beautifully written. So Song of did I say Song of Apollo? Just said Song of Achilles, you know what I mean, if I got that wrong. Same thing, beautiful, beautiful writing. The characters were great, but I was just, oh my heart, I couldn't take it. It was, you could just see this terrible disaster building up, and poor Patroclus was, his destiny was so bound into it, and it was just too much for me right at the moment. I was like, no, I can't do it. That one I will be coming back to because, like I say, the writing was beautiful. I loved her writing. So yeah, there were some which were did not finishes for that reason, and other ones that were did not finishes just because, yeah, didn't like them. However, I did finish some excellent books this month, and my mission this month, and honestly I think it needs to be my mission for the next year, is I need to try and read all the books that I've bought, or at least try and, you know, give a go at all the books that are in my Kindle that I have just bought because they're on 99p sales or something, going, oh yeah, I'll read that later, because I did actually go through, and I've got like 425 unread books. That's terrible. I mean, I love having lots of books waiting to be read because, you know, I am a mood reader, so there are times when you feel like that book, or you feel like that book, and I like being able to pick and choose without being tied into, you know, I've selected this book as the next book I'm going to read, and that's all there is to it, because I am not organised enough or disciplined enough for that. But 425 means I can't find anything in here, so I really need to do something about it. So if anyone gives me book recommendations, I am still taking them, but they're going on my wish list for now. Anyway, I started going back through some of the books that I have bought along the way. This one actually I bought very recently because I love Fredrik Backman. He, yeah, I do love him. He wrote Beartown and Us Against Them, I think, or Us Against You. I've forgotten the name of the sequel to that, but it's along those lines. Beautifully written and completely heartbreaking. I couldn't actually read the second one. I started it and it was the same thing as the Song of Achilles. I was like, oh, my heart can't do this right now. Beautiful story, not beautiful story, beautifully written and well done story, and an important story. I don't want to give any spoilers about it, essentially, but it is about a teenager who gets raped. And it is, yeah, it's very, very well done, but it did kind of break my heart. However, his other books are very, very, they're very sweet, and they're very beautiful, and they're very sad and touching and human. So I do love them. I think my favourite of his has probably been My Grandmother Sends Her Regards and Apologises, which I think is called something slightly different in the US. I don't remember the actual name in the US. Fantastic, absolutely loved it. Man Called Ove was also great. Britt Marie was here, and they were very human and very beautiful, beautiful stories. So Anxious People is I think it's his newest, certainly the newest I've bought anyway, but we all know that I tend to be about 5 years behind everyone else. And yeah, same thing. Very weird setup. So basically, a bank is robbed, or it's more of an attempted robbery because it's actually a cashless bank. And then a group of people are taken hostage at an apartment viewing. And it is the story of the people at that apartment building and this weird interconnectedness of all of them, including, this is a very small town, including the two policemen who are pretty much the town's entire police force, who are downstairs trying to figure out what to do. And it's lovely, and I enjoyed it very much. And essentially, I will always recommend Fredrik Backman because he's wonderful. It's not my favourite of his, but it was a very, very good story anyway. thoroughly enjoyed it. So Fredrik Backman, Anxious People. Right. So, and then having read something just really quite nice and sweet, I sort of veered off and read The City We Became by N.K. Jemisin. And it's the first of hers I've read, and oh man, it was good. It was so good. um, yeah, the only reservation I had about this, essentially, it is a city is being born. So New York is being born. It's gaining sentience basically, and all these people represent the different boroughs and the boroughs, not burrows like rabbit burrows, boroughs, and their different personalities, and something goes wrong in the birth of the city, and there is an enemy that is trying to destroy it before it can be born. Um, and it's so well done. It's beautifully written. The characters are fantastic. There's um, lots of other discussion where it comes to gentrification and racism and consumerism and globalization, just so many other things going on there as well. But without it being shoved down your throat, it's really just beautifully done. Thoroughly enjoyed it. It's also, I'm very embarrassed just to admit how long it took me to realize the throwback to Lovecraft, because I used to really enjoy Lovecraft before I realized just how cringeworthy a lot of it was. And all of a sudden I was like, oh, I recognize this, and it's wonderful. It's like a reclaiming of Lovecraft, and I thought it was brilliant. So yes, we'll be reading more. I was kind of, yeah, that was it. I was going to say my only reservation was that it felt like the beginning of something much bigger, but it doesn't seem to have carried on into other series. And I'd have loved to have read more about it. It would have been very, very cool. But that's basically just me being a greedy reader. Oh, sorry, now my Kindle's frozen. Come on. Ah, there we go. Right. So my Kindle's really playing up now. Come on. There we go. Next one I read, Maggie G, The Flood. Again, first one I've read of hers. So near future London, where there have just been massive floods, but everyone's kind of just carrying on. Everyone's just living there. And, then you get that sort of weird parallel of like, oh, yeah, global pandemic, everyone's just kind of carrying on, just living with it. And so it's quite timely in that, even though I'm not actually entirely sure when it was written, but it's not a new book. 2004. So, yeah, quite humorous, really interesting characters, quite disparate characters from all sorts of different areas. So like there's the towers, which are a much poorer area. They're still mostly underwater. You've got to get there by water taxi essentially, which and there's these sort of end of world people create this end of world cult that are taking root there, and then you've got like the really rich people living in areas where they're actually kind of pretty much unaffected, and you're just carrying on as normal and throwing big balls and everything else, and all along the edges there's just always this little unquieting rumor of war, but it's happening so far away it just doesn't affect them in their everyday life, and so they just carry on. Really enjoyed it until the end. I got to the end and I was like, I might be being a bit thick here, but I don't really understand what just happened, because it just ended, really, which was fine if it had just ended, but then there was this weird like little epilogue bit at the end, and I couldn't work out if it was meant to be a parallel universe or... Anyway, I'll leave that for you to read for yourself, because the rest of the story was really, really good. Just, yeah, the end for me, I was a bit like, okay. But still a good read. We'll still probably try another one of hers. And then, and this one I just finished the other day, Mexican Gothic by Silvia Moreno-Garcia. Absolutely gorgeous. Wow. Never read any of hers either. This is really cool. I'm discovering all these in the depths of my Kindle. Fantastically, beautifully Gothic. Wonderful. Just like the big crumbling old mansion and the decaying family up in the hills with the weird little town that's slowly dying, and the reclusive patriarch who's all shut away in his room, and the young woman who's come into it and has fallen ill. And the main character is this woman's cousin who's come to try and find out what's going on, and it's just great. It is pretty nasty in places. Yeah, it's not a genteel Gothic book. It's quite brutal. There is definite undertones of there's some really nasty stuff on eugenics, and you know, there's the brutality of colonization. There's all sorts of things going on there as well, and it's really well done and really good. And I sat down on Sunday, I think, and read pretty much 3/4 of it in one sitting because I loved it. So yeah, awesome writer, really good book if you're looking for something a bit darker. And yeah, thoroughly enjoyed it. So those were. It's terrible, isn't it? It's been ages since I've done this. Was I still maybe I was still reading The Rivers of London. I'm sure I've actually finished more books than that, than just 4 in the time since the last video. But if not, doesn't matter. I'm going to try and turn this on again so I can show off my beautiful cover again by the wonderful Monica at Ampersand Book Covers. Oh, how do I even get in here? Oh, there we go. Oh no. Oh no. This is why I don't have a tablet. It's too many things to learn. Oh no, see, I've forgotten it. Yeah, I've forgotten the pin. I can't get back into it now. But you can just go back to the video at the start and see the beautiful cover, and I'll put a photo of it on the blog as well, so you can look at it without me trying to get into this. Yeah, technical difficulties, let's just call it that. Anyway, lovely people. Let me know what you're reading. Let me know what you're up to this sort of holiday season, festive season. And yeah, most of all, I hope you're looking after you. I hope you're taking time to actually sit down and read and do whatever it is that you need to do to recharge. And yes, there will be a new book out on the 17th, all going well. Whole collection of short stories, 24 of them I think it was in the end, and there's going to be a brand new short story that's actually not included in the book out on the blog next Wednesday, so look out for that and look after you, and we'll see you then. Bye.